Hey guys, Mr. Simonini here. Today is about notes and homework F. This is probably one of the most important things that you need to copy down and make sure you understand. This sheet is a cheat sheet for everything that we have been doing in quadratics basically like the whole year and this e-learning experience and before we had our break. So make sure you take this seriously. It's going to look a little overwhelming at first, but this is something that you're going to be relying on for the rest of the year and something that you can use next year when you're dealing with quadratics and geometry and so on. Anyways, it's really important for you to get this down. All right, so here we go. So the cheat sheet for quadratics, this is a cheat sheet. You should save this. It's really, really important to save this. I really recommend you looking at this, daily or whatever, or have this out in some sort of way when you're working on homework assignments, especially tomorrow's. But anyways, this is all about how to solve, how to graph. The graphing part is more about just you got to be able to find the vertex and how to change in each form. Now, if you look here, I have a question. What is one of the most difficult things about quadratics? And it's simply this: is reading the instructions and knowing what method to use. Like for example, you can have the same equation, but I might ask you to find the vertex versus the quadratic formula. So when do you use the quadratic formula and when do you not use the quadratic formula? So this is a little breakdown of what you should be doing in every single question. I already have the problems done for you. So again, you can just kind of look ahead and we'll make the video a little quicker too. Anyways, the way that this table works, is the questions are on the left side here. So whatever question you get on the homework assignment or the test, you can kind of just reference this like, oh, I have to find the vertex of something in vertex form. So we'll just begin with that. So in order to find the vertex in vertex form, remember you do opposite of x and then whatever numbers afterwards. So in this case, it's just -1, -16. You just read the equation. When you're trying to find the vertex in standard form, what you do is you do the opposite of b over 2a. Then you plug in those numbers. In this case, I got -1 for this equation. Then I plug -1 into the equation. Don't forget parentheses, and I get -16. You're going to notice that these are actually all equivalent to each other, the equations. I'll show you why when I get to the change part at the end. How do you find the vertex in factored form? Remember, what you do is you do the x-intercept. You add x-intercepts and divide by 2. Remember, x-intercepts here are opposites, so don't forget x-intercepts are opposites, and then you always divide it by 2. In that case, you do get -1. Plug -1 in to get the y of the vertex, and it's going to be -16. So again, that's how you find the vertex in factored form. The next one, okay, next question. How do I find x-intercepts, roots, zeros, or solutions? The key, really important to understand why is 0 here. So if you look here, if it's in vertex form, again, same equation. You let y be 0, and then again, it's a first semester question. So if you want to do arrows, you can. So it'd be like +1 squared minus 16 equals 0, and then do your inverse on the right side. Or again, the traditional way of solving it is add 16 on both sides, plus or minus square root on both sides right here. And then just to be clear, the square root of 16 is 4 and -4. Plus or minus square root of 16 is 4 and -4. And then you have x plus 1 equaling that, equaling 4, and also x plus 1 equaling -4. And then you subtract 1 on both sides and you get an answer of 3 and -5. So again, just being able to solve that equation. Again, you can do the arrows if you want to, if you like that from first semester. How do you solve when it's in standard form? Again, same equation. Again, there's a really important formula for you to understand how to solve in standard form, and this guy, you guys have been working with it for a while. Again, if you were going to solve this question, for example, you let a be 1, b be 2, c be -15. Plug it into your quadratic formula. Use decimals.com or a calculator to help you find the answers. They are the same answers, again, because these equations are equivalent, and we'll show you why. But anyways, it would be 3 and -5. When it's in factor form, really easy, you just do opposites. So it'd be -5 and 3. Yeah, pretty straightforward, hopefully. Now, for y-intercept, okay, so just to be really clear, the y-intercept x is 0. It's the same method for all of the equations. For that, what it is, you have to plug in 0 in for x. Plug 0 in for x. No matter what for the y-intercept. There is always one y-intercept for a quadratics, okay? So in this case, again, I plugged in 0 into my equation and I get negative 15. So 0 comma negative 15. Plug in 0 in for x, you get 0, negative 15. Plug 0 in x in this function, you still get negative 15 because they're the same. Okay, so again, for a y-intercept, you just plug 0 in for x. It's really easy. But again, you have to understand and be able to interpret and read the question and know what to do, though. How do I change? So this is really important. So again, standard form is kind of the middle guy. From standard form, you can go to factored form or vertex form, just to be clear. You cannot go straight from vertex form to factored form. To go from vertex form to factor form, you have to change it to standard form, and then you have to factor it. But anyways, just a quick reminder how to do each one. If you need to change from vertex form to standard form, what you do is you just expand. Some of you guys were doing this when you were solving. This is not solving. I'm not solving anything right here. I'm changing. So when I change, I have to, expand it out, FOIL, and then combine like terms. This is how you change to standard form. I'm not solving anything. I'm changing. All right? Changing and solving is different. Anyways, how do I go from standard form to vertex form? So if you're in standard form, remember this is your plus blanks minus blanks. So again, I have it a little bit small here, but remember what goes in the blank is b over 2 squared. So in this case, it would be 2 over 2, which is 1. 1 squared is 1. So 1 is what goes in the blanks. Remember, you have two puzzle pieces here. You have this puzzle piece right here, and you factor it. So what are two numbers that multiply to 1 and add to 2? Well, that would be 1 and 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Since you have two 1s showing up, if it's a perfect square trinomial, so that's why this is x plus 1 squared. Now your second puzzle piece is negative 15 minus 1, which is going to be minus 16, which goes on the outside. It is the same thing as this. It should be the same thing. Hopefully you're making that connection. Okay, and that's how you do that if you're changing the vertex form. Now let's say you're in standard form and you want to go to factored form. So you want to go to the right. In order to do that, you just do the x method, which is what we did in class before break. So again, what are two numbers that multiply to negative 15 and add to 2? Well, it'd be 5 and negative 3. Why? 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 5 minus 3 is 2. So again, now you write it as a binomial times a binomial. And then the only thing that you can do when it's in factored form, you cannot go straight to vertex form. What you need to do is you have to change it to standard form if you're doing any changing. So you have to change it. So I change it. So again, I FOIL. Again, you should know how to FOIL. Combine like terms, you get this. Again, it should be the same. As you should know, you should be noticing they're all equivalent to each other. You should be getting the same answers as up here. I made it like that. Anyways, if you're going to go from factored form to vertex form, you have to change it to standard form first, and then you're going to have to do the plus blanks minus blanks, and then you can get the vertex form. Hopefully that makes sense. But again, that's how you change in all of the forms. Again, I'm not solving. And then one last thing, just a really important additional note. X-intercepts, remember, or solutions, with quadratics only right now. We're in quadratics unit, so again, our parabola is opening up or down. I'm not talking about all the functions in the world. I'm just talking about quadratics. Anyways, x-intercepts, you can have 0, 1, or 2 answers. For the y-intercepts, there is always one answer for quadratics. Anyways, this is a really, really, really important note for you just to copy. There's no problems for you to do today. All you need to do is just copy this down and use this like throughout the rest of the year. And you can use this next year when you're in geometry, when you are dealing with quadratics. It's a really important thing. Everything is on one piece of paper here. This is like a whole semester worth of stuff that we have done for quadratics, so it's really important for you to get this down. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.